There are two different types of workers, and they often don't coexist. These skills don't often coexist. Because these skills are somewhat mutually exclusive, it means that you will burn out an employee if they don't have the right one for the right role. And I see people hire VAs, especially entrepreneurs. They've got 7 different email addresses. They've got 5 different small businesses they're trying to run. They've got a myriad of influx in email and communication and just all sorts of admin scheduling stuff to keep track of. 9 times out of 10, they don't have a single document that describes that complexity.
Hey, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to the Amazon Strategist Show, the show that's all strategy with no hacks, no silver bullets, and no magic pills, just real practical strategies to grow your Amazon business. Today, I am joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Will Christensen, the man with the equity hammer and founder of Entrepreneur's Apprentice and co-founder of DataAutomation. He is known for his maxim, I guess, automate, delegate, eliminate, and his unique 15-1-1-5 rule, which I'm sure he will be talking all about. Loads of numbers, loads of letters. He identifies tasks to automate or delegate. He's also a certified Zapier expert with deep expertise in workflow optimization. Welcome, Will.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be here. The only thing we didn't put in that bio that I should have mentioned is I am an owner in Seller Labs. So if you are
the one thing that's most relevant to our podcast.
Yeah. If you are a Feedback Genius user or were at one point, which I have yet to meet a seller that wasn't.
I was, yeah.
That company is a company that I now own a piece of, and became a partner in it with Brandon Checketts about 2 years ago. So pretty exciting stuff there. He asked me to jump in and help reform the product a little bit, and we found another owner that came in and infused it with some more cash. And as we did all of that, I got the lucky opportunity to get in and get a piece. So I know this space, the e-commerce space. I've been in it for, I spoke at Prosper back when James Thompson was still running it. And I can still remember we got done. We talked about automation. We literally just talked about automation, and he put me on the main stage, which I didn't expect him to put me on the main stage. It was my first time speaking at a conference like that. And we had probably 400 people sitting in the audience, and I had 300 reach out for my slides. I put a little link on the bottom of my slides. And I was just talking about some of these basic concepts that we're going to talk about today. And I remember James walking up afterwards, he's like, "Will, that was really good. We need to do this again next year."
But you got the tone just right.
I was like, "Oh, I nailed that." If James is inviting me to come back next year, so the following year we did a $400 per person. This one freaked me out. Workshop. So everybody in the room paid $400 to be there. There were 200 people in the room, and I was like, so 40 grand is how much. And I got 80 grand. Oh no, yeah, you're right, 80 grand. Oh, that's mind blowing. So you can imagine when $80,000 is sitting in front of you, and they're like, "Okay, you got 2 hours to convince me not to ask for a refund." The pressure was on, and I introduced 20 or 30 automation tools. I basically gave them a micro demo, and so they had 20 or 30 tools, and I skipped right to the juicy part of this is why this will make an impact. So anyway, I've been around the block in the e-commerce world, and I'm excited to share with you guys some of these expertise.
Awesome. Love it. And obviously not everyone's heard it yet, even though that was many, many years ago, because we are now sitting in today and still talking about them, which is great. So starting off with automation, I am a noob sitting here and I'm doing everything myself. Well, everything. I'm even like refreshing my own internet connection. Don't even have that set up. How do I know which tasks to automate, delegate, or just kill off first?
So that's the 15115 rule. So 15115 actually refers to time frame and the number of times you've actually done the task. So what you're looking for is repeated tasks that are going to happen daily, weekly, or monthly in some sort of cadence like that. More than 15 minutes a day, more than an hour a week, or more than an hour a month. That's the simple truth. And you really could just say more than an hour a month if you're willing to do the math in your head. But more than an hour a month has been the threshold that I have found for ROI on automation. The number one reason people do not automate is because they go in and they spend 3 or 4 hours automating something, and they're like, "Wow, that was painful." Oh, that only happens twice a year and is like a 30-minute thing. And they're like, I spent 4 hours. This is going to take me 4 years to get any ROI on the time I just spent doing that. Now, that's an extreme example, but you do that enough times and your body will not let you automate anymore, because it's looking at ROI generating activities, and that wasn't one of them. And so if you focus your effort on things that meet the criteria 1511, right? 15 minutes a day, an hour a week, an hour a month. And then the last one, the last 5 represents do it 5 times manually. So the other reason people don't automate is because they get on, they automate, and they're like doing something really cool. And then the first time the automation triggers, it doesn't understand an if statement that you forgot to put in the dang thing. Well, guess what? You didn't even know that the if statement existed because you didn't do it 5 times manually before you tried to automate it. And so those are the 2 rules. 1, how much time can I really save? And then 2, do the dang thing 5 times manually. Because once you get the automation pill down, you will try to automate everything immediately. Oh my gosh, this could be automated. And it gets so shiny and exciting, and it's really cool that first time, until you choose to automate something without enough information and without enough ROI that the time on investment just never comes back.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So get out a notepad, a sticky note, write 15115 across the top, start writing down the things that you're coming across, and then put 5 tally marks to the right of each of those things.
Yeah.
The moment you hit 5 tally marks, that's when you turn around and say, okay, I'm going to start automating this. I'm going to consider automating, delegating, or eliminating this. That's the automate, delegate, eliminate. And the reason I left eliminate in there is because sometimes you should stop doing that thing you're doing. That I've learned that most businesses fail not because they didn't have good ideas, but because they had too many ideas and they focus on the wrong ones. And so because if you can't tell me these are my 3 major priorities for my company this quarter, you're doing it wrong. Like you've got to be able to eliminate down to 3 priorities to connect those dots.
Yeah, I believe that. And thank you for sharing your 15115 rule. We will. Is there a place that people can go and read more on that?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel called Automation Hunter. And if you go to automationhunter.com and you put in, if you just do Control F for 15, you'll find a video where I describe, and I actually have a Post-it note, and I kind of walk people through the process of making that. And then if you subscribe to the channel, I talk about it all the time on my episodes. So lots to learn there, but that basic concept of don't spend your initial automation investment on something you haven't done 5 times manually and isn't going to give you at least an hour a month back. That's the golden rule. At least an hour a month back every month. And that's something I discovered after automating like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things for e-commerce sellers and the like. And people would come to me and they'd pay me. Like they'd pay me $200, $300, $400 for a couple hours. Like this is back when I was just doing consulting.
Another thing that Will does is something called Entrepreneur's Apprentice. And no idea if it was his kid or if kids are just cheaper labor, which I believe is one reason why I want to have more children, because children are the cheapest labor. So
there are some cool tax strategies, by the way, hiring your kids. Like,
really?
like there's certain amounts of money that you can pay your kids that are tax deductible that, anyway, especially, I don't know how it is over in the UK from that perspective, but here in the States, there are some interesting tax strategies around hiring your children. And it's not about cheap labor. It's about avoiding the fact, like, you don't have to pay normal income tax on it.
That's great.
So there's some interesting tax strategies. You do need to have them do something tangible in the business. So like, I had accounting is like my 9-year-old or 8-year-old doing some accounting. I think that would be really effective. I had a guy who, what he did is he would send every single one of his clients a 3D printed like little fidget toy that was kind of branded. He had his kids put it in the packaging. His kids would, well, and so like they're gonna learn some like, oh, if I work I get money, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it was a tax saving strategy.
Yeah, that's great. Probably the best paid person in his company on an hourly basis, I would imagine. That sounds great. Yeah, I don't live in the UK anymore, but I imagine that the UK is tight on everything tax-wise. So I assume
where are you at now?
I live in Vietnam.
That's right. That is right.
It's all right. We have the same conversation every time we have the conversation.
No, you're totally right.
Late where you are. That's why it's so late.
Well, I remember. Actually, I just thought you were in the UK because it's late there, but I have to remember it's not quite as late in the UK.
Like 4 p.m.
Yeah, it's. Well, I just know it's way farther ahead than me.
3 p.m. 2:30. Sorry, what time is it where you are now?
Okay, so it's official. I am way off here because if it's only 3 p.m. and it's 11 p.m. your time. Okay, yeah, you win. I'm totally off there.
Oh, that's all right. No worries. All good. But the sun has left, and I am just here on my own.
Love it.
Okay, so we went off track into child labour. Yeah, Entrepreneur's Apprentice. So why would somebody have an apprentice, and how does that differ? Well, definitely differs, but differ from hiring a COO, operations team, fully operationalizing. Why would you get an apprentice instead, or is this something you're doing for?
Great question. The other way that I would consider is a lot of people they're like, oh, I'm going to get a VA. Like that's their first step. I'm going to get a VA. I'm going to get a VA. That's what I see most commonly, right? And I agree that you should get a VA. Here's what I've discovered.
Yeah.
There are two different types of workers, and they often don't coexist. These skills don't often coexist. Because these skills are somewhat mutually exclusive, it means that you will burn out an employee if they don't have the right one for the right role. 9 times out of 10, when I see people hire VAs, especially entrepreneurs, they've got 7 different email addresses. They've got 5 different small businesses they're trying to run. They've got a myriad of influx in email and communication and just all sorts of admin scheduling stuff to keep track of. 9 times out of 10, they don't have a single document that describes that complexity. When they go to hire a VA, they're like, the VA jumps on and says, "Cool. Do you have like a document that describes all the different small businesses you work in?" Why would I need that? They're up here. I know them, right? Like they just that documentation muscle. I am actually allergic to documentation. I hate it with a passion. I actually
you do automation though.
I bring VAs on or apprentices on to document for me.
Oh, good.
So I've learned, because I'm allergic to it. I don't like documenting. Most people don't like documenting. I found that entrepreneurs are especially bad at it. So what I've discovered is, going back to the two different types of people, there are systems followers and systems creators. There are people who want to come in and pull a lever or check a checklist every single day, and they get great satisfaction out of checking that checklist. And then at the end of the day, they go home and they're totally satisfied. And there are other people who, they walk into a room and they prefer to walk into the messy room that needs a system because they want to write the checklist. They want to figure out what's coming up. There's some creativity part of solving that system for the first time. So my experience is, you don't hire a VA first if you don't have a system. Because 9 times out of 10, the VA company that's filtering for you, they're finding systems followers. They're finding people who want to check an inbox every day. And so they'll do decently on those tasks that didn't need as much of a system, and they'll minorly document some of it. But I have found that they will burn out because you will give them enough ambiguous tasks that there is no system, that they're like, this isn't what I signed up for. I want to just do the same thing every day. And you're like, well, that doesn't work. I'm an entrepreneur. I do different things every day. Well, I know, but that's just not what I do. Like, that is the number one reason people lose VAs, is what I've found. And so if you focus on a systems creator, which is what we focus on in Entrepreneur's Apprentice. So we put people through a gauntlet of like 8 different tests, and those tests include detail-orientedness, they include creativity, they include risk aptitude, all sorts of different things, so that an apprentice is never in a situation where they naturally say, I hate this. In fact, they thrive on that environment, and they're your opposite. So they enjoy the detail. They want to write it down. They are in all of those different categories, and they're the ones that write the handbook. So I have a 97-page document that describes how to check my email. That was written by a systems creator and is now used by a systems follower who I've had for over 3 years, and she likes checking off the boxes. And she'll tweak it every once in a while. We'll go in and tweak something, and she's learned some system creator skills now that we've been together as long as we have. But initially speaking, it was all systems follower, and I had to know the difference between the two. So that's why you want an apprentice first,